never got that close.
Son were
I've
same
never done
thing.
that, so.
Okay, we'll call this meeting to order. If you would, Madam Clerk, take roll call.
All right, Mr. Braun.
Present.
Mr. Combs. Ms. Nelson.
Present.
Ms. Reclue.
Present?
Mr. Simmons.
Here.
Mr. Stone.
Here.
Mr. Washington.
Here.
And Mr. West.
Here.
8 council members present.
All right, welcome everyone. At this time, we'll have Pastor Williamson lead us in an invocation.
Let's pray together. Heavenly Father, to begin this session tonight, I want to try to keep first things first. I'm praying, Lord, for a good resolution for the incident of yesterday evening here in our city. I pray your blessings on Chief Myers and his officers here in our city and the supportive departments of law enforcement around us as they work through this. Give them your blessings and let this be done in a manner that would be pleasing to you. Please protect this victim, whoever that may be, and the community that loves the peace and quiet and calm that we cherish and too often can take for granted. Thank you, Lord, for your providential care in this matter. Secondly, Lord, I want to pray for a lot of infrastructure work that's being done in our city. Some of the streets, Lord, have to be at least partially blocked while our city employees work hard to restore our infrastructure in many places. I pray for their safety, Lord, and I pray that the motoring public will be vigilant and watch for them as they do this work through the spring and summer months. Finally, my third prayer is for our children. This next month brings to close another school year, and with that goes increased activities for children all over our city. We can see that in our parks and places where children gather to play. Let us all take this incumbent need upon us to keep our children safe and to watch out for them during this busy spring and summertime of activities. For this day and this session, I'm grateful, Lord, for our mayor and council persons, our administrators, and all who lead this city's work in our community. Thank you, Lord, for their diligence, all the way down to the boots that are on the ground every day in my part of the city and in every part of our community that let us prosper and work together to a greater good. I pray for this session, for the discussions that will be held and any decisions that will be made here. I pray, Lord, that they are first pleasing to you. God, and direct our personal lives and help us to be good neighbors as we move forward together. This is our prayer we pray in Christ's name. Amen.
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 Face the flag. Attention, salute, and pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor.
Privilege, sir.
Okay. At this time, we allow comments from visitors. If you're present and wish to address the council, just step to the podium, give us your name and address. Seeing no one come forward, we will move on. We have the consent agenda next up. Council members may choose to remove an item for discussion prior to approving the consent agenda. We have 4 items tonight: the approval for the City Council meeting minutes of April 13th, the approval of the DOA report of March, the acknowledgement of the following board and commission reports, which is the Public Utility Board report from February 22nd, and the approval of requests from David Beaver for the annual Independence Day Parade on Sunday, July 4th at 2 p.m. Down Court Street. And this request has been reviewed and approved by Chief Myers and administration. Police assistance will be needed. And I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I would like the opportunity to remove B and C, the Director of Administration, and acknowledgement of the board, Parks, the Utility Board.
All right. Second, anyone?
Actually, we don't need one for that.
Don't need a second?
We'll be okay. Yeah.
So we will pull those 2 items out
Thank you.
and we do
Mr.
need a
Mayor, I
second
move
for
to
the
accept the
approval.
rest of the consent agenda.
Second?
Broadly, yes.
All right, I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda with the caveat B and C being pulled out for discussion. Any questions or discussion on this? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
And opposed, no. All right, very good. I believe you all were provided with the DOA report. Mr. Braun?
It's really pretty quick today on the DOA. I just love to point out, and month after month after month after month at the golf course, how well our golf course is doing. And that is a huge, huge thank you to the individuals that are out there. And Clay, if you've been out there at all, I don't know that you get to spend a lot of time out there right now, but it's a big thank you to you. Last month being a $55,000 month, that doesn't sound like a lot, but it literally blows everything else out of the water, what we've done out there in prior years. So thank you for that.
And I'm not sure how anybody was playing out there in February. But there were.
A couple of diehards. But that's really all I have from the director, but I do think that it's important that we continue to let everybody know that the golf course is doing very well.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, anyone else got questions on the
yeah.
report? Yep.
Go ahead.
Well, two questions on the DOA report. One is, under purchasing, what is a pepper ball gun? Is
For
that
law
something-
enforcement? Law enforcement.
Okay. And then on the engineering section, would be page 9, I'd like more description of what these projects are, in particular the 2nd Street, 10th Street improvement plans, but I don't see Kyle here tonight.
No, he was called away.
Okay, so maybe we can get an update at a future meeting. And I also wanted to talk about, well, one, we're talking about curbs and gutters on these, and I don't like squared off gutters, so I want to talk about that at some time. And then I noticed under the asphalt overlay and chip seal program, it says that this was cut from the budget. How much money are we talking about here?
We cut almost 400,000.
Okay, I have concerns with that because our streets need a lot of work. So we need to talk about that more, I believe.
Okay.
That's all I had. Mr. Simmons?
Yep. At the bottom of 9, the Business 54 sidewalk, at the very end, it talks about the fiscal year of MoDOT is really the end of 2022 to the middle of 2023. So if this project gets approved, does that mean if we do it in 2022, we're going to have to fund the entire cost of the project until we get reimbursed 6 or 9 months later?
Yes.
Okay, so we just need to think about that
Well,
when the time comes.
well, and last council meeting, we said January of 2023.
Yeah,
Well, that's because the schedule they gave us said January 2023.
gotcha.
But then they kind of corrected and said, well, that's because all the 2022 money is gone. So we would have to wait until 2023 to get our reimbursement. So
Gotcha.
That's why I said, yeah.
Okay.
So we can do
The-
that, perhaps, right?
The other question, where was I? Is the bottom of page 11.
Yeah.
Projects number 5, continuing investigation of locations found on the high-pressure pipeline at Hatton. Are these big deals, little deals, anomalies?
they're not big deals yet.
Here we go.
No, they're not big deals yet. We had it studied, they tracked it, they put a current on it and seen where we had
Just ran a
leakage.
pig through the line, yeah?
And so far, what's mounted to is digging them up, the spots that they found, cleaning them, rewrapping them.
Okay.
No pipeline damage yet, just
Okay.
recoating.
Thank you. And then the other question is, how are we doing on the Legends Recreation Center?
We can talk about that now. We can talk about that now. Do we have anything?
That was in the middle of page 10.
It's on my list.
Page 10, yeah.
Yeah.
Today, all the cardio equipment and the fitness equipment arrived, and it should be all put together and installed, ready to go tomorrow. River City has a few little things on their list that they need to do. About a week ago, we had a basketball goal just shatter, just mysteriously shatter. So it's sitting there with broken glass in it right now, waiting on the subcontractor to come and replace it. So that's a little bit of an issue, but really from the River City standpoint, they just have a few things left to do. The biggest thing we're waiting on right now is telephone and internet. And hopefully that's going to be here by the end of May. And then
Whoa.
End of
End
May.
of April.
end of April, the 1st of May.
Well, that's this week.
First-
Oh, May,
No,
that's-
I really meant to say end of May.
I understand, but that's this week, right?
No, yeah,
Okay.
it's hoping to be here by May 1st. So that,
That's Saturday.
yes,
That's Saturday, yeah, you're right.
So the,
So they have Wednesday,
The-
Thursday, and Friday left.
yes. Socket's doing the installation. There's some things on our end, once the phone lines are to the building, a company's gonna come in and set up the phone system, make sure it's connected to the city hall phone system. And there's some issues with firewalls on both the city hall side and the rec center side. So a few things we're working through. We're not gonna be open by May 1st, but that's what we're shooting.
What time?
Shooting for that maybe mid-May area, but we're kind of at the mercy of some other issues.
And I talked to Kyle this afternoon quite extensively on this. Clay was over at the building. Kyle believed that mid-May should happen, with the exception of the elevator. The elevator may still be out of commission due to the requirements of the phone lines and just being able to get them back in town for their final inspection. We're at their mercy for that.
Is that any kind of an ADA violation?
yes,
Right.
yes.
That's what I'm.
Well, yes and no, because the building does have rear access. So since the building does have rear access, it would be possible for them, but it is our intent and our goal to get it open and operational as quick as possible.
Definitely.
How long do you think that'll be? Do you
On the
have any
elevator?
idea?
Yeah, 'cause it-
Like a couple days, a week?
We're at their mercy.
Okay.
Been working on it really for a few months now.
So
So
we
if that
can't
tells
open-
you anything.
Go ahead.
there was also a question, rumor, assumption that there's no cell reception in the building? Is that being resolved, or?
There's a very poor cell reception inside the building.
Okay.
We looked at one option of having cell phone repeaters. That option is very, very expensive. So right now, we're looking at bringing in Wi-Fi and enabling people to have Wi-Fi calling
Okay.
throughout the building. So, and I think it's just due to so much metal in the building.
Okay, yeah, I
Okay.
don't know. Okay.
Really?
Clay, is it
So,
That's all I had.
Show us an example.
Ms. Washington?
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Is it possible that we can have an open house, not an open house, for people to come and view and walk through, and have a later date to be open, early on?
Yeah, I think even if we're not, the phone line is pretty critical, the internet's pretty critical, because we can't operate the air conditioning and the heating without the internet. We can't operate the security system very well without being able to program it through the internet. Obviously, the elevator requires a phone line, and we just can't do day-to-day business
Right.
there because
No.
we need internet and phone. But I think we can maybe have a soft opening. Our plans are to have a big grand opening. I just don't feel comfortable setting that date right now.
It's a good idea.
so the major roadblock to opening it is getting the phone and the internet? Is that the last major roadblock?
I believe so. I mean, again, I don't like that basketball goal hanging there.
Yeah, oh, no.
With broken glass in it. We're waiting on the company. The River City's been in contact with the subcontractor, and they're waiting to hear back from them.
Is there a danger with this? Is this something that's going to happen? I mean, we have one broken. Was it accidentally dropped, or was there faulty
Did Chief
material?
Codlet try to
It was
slam dunk it, or?
no, because it's not even a basketball goal that was down. It was one that was raised to the ceiling, and it was above
Oh,
the bleachers. And
wow, okay.
One day, in fact, we had some flooring people working on the floor underneath it.
Yeah?
It was fine one evening. The next day, we walk in and it's shattered. So we don't really have any answers.
It's speculation that one of the bolts was tightened down too tight.
That,
Is that something that they're going to replace for us, or is that something that is our expense to replace?
We are waiting on that answer too, but it should be under warranty.
Of course.
It should be under warranty, so.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, going back to the sidewalk conversation, I had a hallway conversation with the engineer, and we could even do some of this work in 2021 and still get reimbursed in 2023. So if there is any opportunity for us to finance this project ourselves, get it done, get it started, get it going, and then get the reimbursement later, I would like for us to explore that.
I think we can certainly do that in the interest of expediting the project and not having to wait on some date to get reimbursed when we've got probably the money sitting around, we could go ahead and do it. I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
Not that we have the money.
I do know the
Don't
budget,
say that.
when we came up with the budget, we were like right close to zero. There's just
Understand.
breaking even, so I'm not sure.
I'm just asking
I
for us to review it.
understand, we need to look at it.
And 400,000 was removed from the chip seal program.
Well, and that was my second item. There were many members, including myself of the city council, that was not in favor of just arbitrarily removing money from the budget and cutting items from the budget because of the natural gas reserve. And so I'm not very satisfied at the moment that we've had $400,000 removed from the chip seal project without a further discussion. So
And-
I would like for us to have that conversation.
Yeah, and part of the problem with that was the timing of it. We had to get the bids on the street for the asphalt guys to be able to schedule us this year.
Right.
So we were under the gun. We did put out an email to all the council. We got a little bit of response, not a lot. So we went the direction that we got responded to by the council, so,
That's unfortunate because I don't remember that email.
yeah.
That's very unfortunate.
I don't
That
seem to
that
remember
decision
as
was
well.
made.
Yeah, we discussed it somewhat.
Okay.
If it wasn't an email, it was in person.
We did discuss it in chambers here, which was, I was against it from the beginning because I think we definitely need to have much more discussion. And that actually leads me into the utility board piece, was where I was going to come up with some of this discussion. But we'll finish up where we're at, and then I'll go into the utility board.
I saved that for my second item, Mr. Braun, just to serve that up to you.
And John, I'm on the utility board as the council liaison. We had excuse me, a big meeting about this yesterday. I was going to bring that up in council concerns to get an update from the utility people and from the city administrator about the challenges we face and things we need to look at. There's also a time crunch on certain things, like the state is looking at giving people a loan, but it's going to come out before our next council meeting. So we need to be aware of what's happening and whether we want to think about taking advantage of it. So we can either do that now, and I won't bring it up. We'll have Daryl and Bill talk to us about the meeting yesterday, if that would resolve your concerns.
No, we'll
Why don't we go ahead and wrap up the DOA report, and then we can
Okay.
move into the next item, and I think that Daryl's going to have some discussion for us in a little bit anyway on that topic, so that's probably the most appropriate time.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so consent agenda. Did you do
Okay.
anything else?
No, that's it.
Was that it?
Are there any other questions on the DOA report? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor say
Actually,
yes.
hold on one sec, we just need a motion and a second to
motion to
approve.
approve the DOA is written.
Second?
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay.
All right, have a motion and a second. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
And opposed, no. All right, and we'll move on to the discussion about the PUB meeting utility meeting. Is there a
So-
question there?
Reading through the minutes, and I know we discussed this right after some of this, and I was pretty adamant about it, didn't like cutting the streets like we did all of a sudden, and big increases, trying to be patient and let us see how some of it played out. And I do not want that to go by the wayside. I do think it's something that if it's a work session or something else that we need to do as a council to have some of those discussions, I definitely think it's important that we bring those up and set that sooner than later. By all means, that we need to have some discussions about it, but I think between the streets and increases and everything else, it's really simple to say, well, we'll just increase it. I'm not crazy
Well,
about that idea.
It all depends on risk and a lot of different bad choices. And it's not something we can talk about in 10 minutes. It's going to take a while to digest this information, the status of our, what some people call an emergency fund. It's really the cash account that we have.
So that's a whole nother issue, Ballard, that I think would be very appropriate in my mind at a very near future date, that we all have some of these conversations. Because in the report, it says we have a $5 million, or had a $5 million reserve. Is that actually what we had? I mean, so there's more to it, but I think that we need to have some of those conversations sooner than later.
Oh, I agree. And the thing I was talking about, the state, they're pushing through a bill to grant $50 million approximately for a zero interest loan to the cities that were affected by this gas increase. Except this bill will probably be approved maybe the first week of May. And then everybody's going to try to jump on it. If we want to take advantage of that, then we need to look at what the options are early and not really wait for the second council meeting. So it sounds like maybe a session just devoted to the gas and utility funds.
I would accept that. I would do that in a heartbeat. But I'm not sure that we want to talk about any kind of loan, whether it's got an interest or not. We had the funds available to make the bill right. You know, I get it that it went into reserve some, and
well,
I'm thankful for that, and some of it's thankful to what's happened in the past, but it's built up over a long period of time to those numbers, and for it to just to say, oh, well, we might have something else, is not acceptable in my mind.
And it disappeared pretty quickly.
Without a doubt.
Because we
Without a
had,
doubt, Ballard, but you can't recover it in a 3-year period either. I don't believe that. So
and that's some of the things that we need to talk about. Do we stand pat and take the risk of not having money and having Kathy come up to the podium and say, council, we're broke. We just had a ice storm come through and we've got half the city out of power.
okay.
And wait a minute, just relax.
Mm-hmm. Don't tell me to relax, please.
Well,
Please don't
okay.
tell me to relax.
Just relax.
Okay. Don't tell me to relax,
okay.
please, Ballard. I'm asking you one last time.
But there's a lot of things that go into these numbers that we're not privy to. And that information we need to, everybody on this council needs to know about before we can just say, well, we're not going to do anything. And we're just going to take the risk, or we're going to minimize the risk somehow. I mean, we could put in $100 million into this account, but that's ridiculous. It's not going to happen. There are a lot of options that are available. One of them is doing absolutely nothing. There are others of trying to take part of this loan, trying to reduce the amount of money we transfer from the utility funds into the budget every year. There's a lot of different options if we want to rebuild the emergency fund back up to numbers that are, I don't say reasonable, but better. And all those numbers, we aren't privy to. All those options we aren't privy to. And I agree with what you're saying. We need a special session to sit down and listen to what Darrell has come up with on all of the ramifications of doing nothing or the ramifications of doing something.
So why would we not be privy to that information? Ballard, you've said it several times that we're not privy to that information. I struggle to
Okay.
understand that.
The information I'm talking about is how much it would cost to replace power lines if we have an ice storm. What would it cost to replace well pump number 4 if it fails again? I mean, that was $750,000 out of the cash account. How much money does this cash account have to maintain so that the city can pay its bills every day?
Ballard, we could play what ifs all day long in lots of scenarios. I don't disagree that it needs to be a discussion. If you want to continue to have the discussion tonight, we can continue. I just think it needs to be done sooner than later.
And I totally agree with you.
But yet to sit here and continue to hash it out tonight, I'm all for that, and I'm ready to go.
Okay.
If we want to do it tonight, but I don't think
Guys,
tonight's the night.
I think we are saying the same thing, that we need to, can I finish?
If you, you have a little bit, all right?
Okay, I
There's more
know.
than just two people here, all right?
I
We
think-
put these boards and commissions together for a reason, and they function pretty well mostly. What I'd like to see is maybe if you're really interested in a particular topic, go to the board meetings. Or if this particular item is more than that, more than we can do in a council session, then fine, let's set a work session about it, or have a special session, set it up. But now's not the time to start picking apart a topic that's going to take 3 or 4 hours, literally.
And I agree with that.
So, decisions have to be made, but they don't have to be made tonight. It seems like to me it would make sense to challenge the board to bring back a few maybe scenarios or a few, maybe 2 or 3 different approaches to solving this problem. Does that seem doable?
Darrell put together a multi-page PowerPoint that was presented to the utility board yesterday,
Gotcha.
outlining funds, required, necessary funds, various fund balances across the various funds. And at some point in time, yes, he needs to share that with the city council, but it kind of came up, I think just today, Darrell received some additional information on that 0% interest loan from the state. It appears that, from what I understand, I think on May 5th, it's going to go maybe even to the governor on the May 5th for approval. There's $50 million available statewide to be divvied up amongst municipalities. It's only good for municipalities that experienced excessive costs for a very specific period in February. But right in the legislation, it says it's a first come, first served. So I think later in the meeting, and now might be a great time to call them up and just talk about this and just do it. But we were hoping, based on the U board recommendation, was to have the city council authorize the preparation of the application. And maybe, I don't know about what the submittal will be. We'll know more next week, I guess, when we...
Darrell, come on up. Let's just get into this. We're into it now.
Was there a point on the agenda where that recommendation was going to be made?
It's on a list to be discussed because the agenda was put out last week and just kind of coming together very rapidly.
Okay.
Mr. Johnson, is there an expiration, what time, how much time we have to pay back this loan if we take advantage of that?
But that's,
Right now, the
Darrell,
legislation's showing 5 years.
5 years?
Up to 5 years is what it says right now in the
Thank you.
legislation.
Okay.
And the legislation says interest-free loan program for municipal utilities for wholesale electricity and natural gas costs incurred during February 10th to February 20th, 21, to be loaned on a first-come, first-served basis to any natural gas or electrical municipal utility established pursuant to Missouri Code X, Y, and Z.
Thank you.
That's basically what it says.
Okay.
And if we apply for the loan, doesn't mean we're going to get 3 million.
No.
We might get $1 million. We might not get that much. But if we don't apply for the 3, we're not going to get the 3.
Correct. And how this is written right now on the House side, it's first come, first served. The Senate's got a little bit different version. I haven't seen it. I heard it was a little bit different. And, you know, the Senate may do some sort of,
Yeah.
you know, 100 million is applied for, everybody gets
Yeah.
half of what they applied for.
Right.
I don't know. But on the House Bill 15, that's the language in it.
So we'll apply for the 3 million.
But then we have to pay it back.
And then, of course,
And I think the U-Board felt like there was really no downside, there's no interest tied to it, so.
There's no interest tied to it.
Kind of a no lose.
It would be paid back through excess revenues generated by the fund. If the excess revenues weren't generated by the fund, we would actually use the loan proceeds
To pay
to
back.
pay the loan back.
That's what
We would use, if we borrowed 3 million from this fund and the additional revenue wasn't there to satisfy the minimum loan requirements, we would use part of the 3 million to pay the loan back. I think it was talked about as that it would be an insurance policy for the next 3 to 5 years, that we would have the funds available if something came up.
So it would basically just replenish our funds until we could build them back up. And we'd have to pay it back within the 5 years.
Correct.
yeah,
And hopefully
way I
nothing
hear it.
else is gonna happen like
Well,
happened
yeah,
this year.
exactly.
Bill, did we ever find out what the stipulations on the potential 2.3 million that was supposed to be coming with the most recent round of monies that were given?
No, I believe on May 5th, there's a webinar that I plan on sitting in that's going to give some of the details. The specific criteria has not been released. Anything that anybody has read is preliminary and is not official. I believe one person said it was going to be purely COVID-related. Another place that I read, though, it was going to be eligible for water and sewer improvements. And if you want to look at things, you know, we could use that money for our water and sewer improvements, then maybe take some of the water and sewer money to repay the loan. The water and sewer money that we're getting off of from the user fees could be used to pay for the loan instead of money, because we'd be expending funds on the water and sewer system. That make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, money that we wouldn't be
We're moving
spending.
shells.
Yeah, a
We're
little bit.
moving
Yeah,
shells.
sure.
So what happens if we have an emergency in the next 5 years? And what happens if we can't pay it back? Then what?
That's a question.
Good question.
I guess I'm not too worried about paying it back if we have no other disaster. Because as I said, we could use the proceeds from the loan to repay the loan. Does that make sense? You go to the bank and borrow $100,000, you got $100,000 sitting in your account, you write the bank a check for $2,000 every month to repay that loan.
Out
Right.
of that, yeah.
But if we have an emergency or a disaster, then we're-
We will be back at this table discussing options.
Just do what we can.
But we also have reserves in other funds.
We do.
Do
We have
other
millions of
funds?
dollars sitting in the electric reserve fund. We have other money sitting in other reserve funds, is
And-
what I understand.
And that's the information that Daryl has, that the exact numbers of what money sits in what fund, that we don't know. That we're making assumptions on. So that's what he presented to us yesterday as a utility board.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, again, I think part of my reasoning for bringing this up, because I didn't want it to go away, and I think it's a much longer discussion than probably needs to take place tonight.
So
I'll say it one last
maybe before our next meeting, we could do like an hour-long work session. Does that work best, or does a whole nother night work best for everyone on this?
I think it's important enough that it needs to be start to finish of a night, and if it takes us 2 hours, it takes us 2 hours. If it takes us 3 hours, whatever it takes, to get it some resolution to where we're going with it. That's my opinion, and I'm one of 8.
But we're not
Mr.
gonna
Mayor,
have a-
do we have a work session agenda item already scheduled for May the 11th?
Not that I know of.
But won't we be too late for May 11th? That this is,
This is the 5th.
we have to get this
I
in?
think this piece of it, unless I hear any dissent, is kind of a no-brainer, but maybe not. I don't know. Is anyone opposed to the?
I would make a motion to allow for the application to go as discussed.
Right.
So I can second that.
Yeah, I think that needs to be, yes.
Okay.
I do
I
want
just
to
don't wanna
point
lose
out,
the opportunity.
I do want to point out really quickly, and that's wonderful, and I believe that's actually what Daryl's going to be looking for. We'll still be doing a resolution then at the next meeting, just because we will need that official piece beyond just a motion, just so everyone understands.
Gotcha.
And I know y'all was talking about how long to talk. You board yesterday last almost 2 hours.
Yeah, if
And
that's
it
what
was their
takes us, that's
second
what
hitch
takes
at it.
us.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah. So maybe just getting more information out as soon as we can about this whole deal would help the council have more of a productive meeting.
I think so.
Yeah, I guess I'm saying
Whenever
that
we do
I don't think that we can satisfy the council 30 minutes before the regular session.
I don't
No.
think so.
No, I
either.
don't
I
either.
don't think we can do
And
that.
I don't know that an hour is enough either.
Could we
I don't
get,
either.
could we get a copy of the PowerPoint
Yes.
that you, from yesterday? Thank you.
We can always get-
Discussion item on the loan motion. Do we need to request the full 3 million?
I think you have
Can
to
we
go.
request 1 million?
We can request whatever we want, but if we request $1 million, we're
But
not
we
going
might
to
not
get $3 million.
Right.
So-
Right, understand.
And we
But do we
request-
really need to request 3 million?
We might only get
I
one
believe-
if we request 3.
I think it
I
too.
I believe that we need to request 3 because we may not guarantee to get the 3.
That's
So we
right.
may get 1.
May get
which
one,
is-
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
so,
Mike said.
And isn't it more, I'm sorry, isn't it more 3.2 or 3.4? Kathy, isn't that more our number?
Yeah.
I think that's what needs to be requested. And I know I initially said I don't like the loan idea, but I can bend.
And I don't think
probably-
we had the option to go over 3 million. I think that's the cap
Well,
on
it's-
it. Is that right?
Is that a cap?
No, I don't believe there is a cap, because there'll be people applying for more
We
than
just
that.
been talking about 3
We've
million.
been talking about the 3.
Gotcha.
Oh.
We can only justify the
You can only
expenditure.
justify your damage occurred in that time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we did have a little bit of electric damage in that time, but the gas, if you look at February of 2020, the gas cost to the city was $370,000. February of 2021, it was 3.8. So it was about 3.4.
So there was, yeah,
Difference.
exactly.
And I know Bill's, I'm worried about paying it back.
That's why I was asking about limiting it.
The gas department doesn't produce that big a profit from my reading the budget. And the profit they do generate goes directly to the general fund to fund capital projects. So if we take that away, just help pay back this 3 million, or whatever number loan is, we're still gonna have to use the portion of the $3 million loan to pay it back. If it's over 5 years, that's not as bad, but then that just whittles down that reserve over 5 years. And we're back to the same point 5 years later of,
Yeah, there's definitely got to be more
It's-
pieces to the puzzle,
Yeah.
Ballard. This is not going to be the only thing that we do, and I think going forward, we'll have a plan to replenish that.
and that's why I agree with John, we need to have a work session to look at all of the options
Right.
on this subject.
Yep. So the loan part of it, we probably need to go ahead and figure out what we're going to do. And to really sort of boil it down, would you rather have the looming threat of $3 million to have to repay, or would you rather have the crisis hit us and we're scrambling to come up with that 3,000 or 3 million?
Correct.
That's.
I'm looking at it as
sort
an
of
insurance
what I-
policy.
Yeah.
Right.
Ex-
Yes, sir.
2 points. One, to Ms. Nelson's concern, if there was another catastrophe that come along, we would negotiate with the state and work something out, because we wouldn't be the only ones that would happen to, most likely, unless it would be like a Joplin-type tornado or something like that. But the other point is, I think if we get this loan and we kind of put it in there and say, we don't really want to touch this unless it's a dire emergency kind of a situation.
Okay.
We just want to use it to have there
Insurance,
insurance fund, as Bill said several times,
I agree, yeah.
my opinion.
With the belief that the majority of it will be used to repay the loan.
Right.
Sure.
So we have a motion and a second
Yes, to allow for the application of the loan through the state.
Okay, so you can go
to
ahead and
the
apply.
amount of $3 million.
Will it,
We didn't quite get to that point, but
Yeah,
Is that okay?
I think the wording needs to be to the amount of damages that we can justify, both on the electric and the gas side.
sure.
That's appropriate.
That'll work.
I agree.
That
Right.
would do, yeah.
okay, Councilman Braun, are you okay with that verbiage?
Yes, because it's going to go up.
Okay, and Councilman West, are you okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Very good. We got a motion and a second. Any more questions,
Hey,
discussion?
Daryl, before you leave. Go ahead. No. I was just
Oh,
wanted to
okay.
stay there.
Gotcha. All righty. All those in favor say yes,
Yes.
and opposed, no.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Mr. Miller, can I ask you? The Senate passed, we're passing the water now I'm trying to get it.
Yeah,
Infrastructure?
Infrastructure, yeah, just NASCAR on this out.
it's a hard one.
Is that something that we're going to benefit from?
I haven't seen the details of it yet to see what it applies for.
Okay.
If it's
I
for
was just
us or if
curious.
it's for, lead service abatement or exactly what it's for.
Okay, I was just,
The state has a very successful revolving loan program. The way that works, and we've participated in it many times.
okay.
That's how we're doing the sewer project right now. We've done sewer project the last time. I believe we did it, the water project in 2005. And the way that works is the federal government gives the state a big pot of money, okay? The state puts that money in the bank. The interest that the state earns on that money is used to buy down our interest rate. So it's not a grant as in paying for any of the principal or any of the out-of-pocket, but the interest earned off the federal money gets us a lower interest rate. And I think we've been down in the sub 1%,
Yeah.
sub 1% interest rate on some of this long-term debt that we've taken on for like the sewer plant. We did this big project in the sewer plant. So we're getting very attractive interest rates on that.
Well, thank you. I was just curious how, I knew before I came here to the council, that it looks like it was going to pass. The United States Senate was passing the water infrastructure bill. And so I just didn't know how it applied and how we, thank you.
I get much more excited when I hear the word grant than I do loan.
Definitely.
I agree.
Cool. Well, that was probably the longest
Nothing-
consent agenda we've ever had.
If there's nothing further on the utility board minutes, I make a motion to approve the utility board as written.
Second.
Yeah.
Have a motion and a second to approve the utility board minutes or report. Any questions? All those in favor say yes.
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 Opposed, no. All right. Presentation of our March financial report, if you would, Ms. Holschlag.
Well, March looks better than February did. I'll start by saying that. I tried to note the high points in my notes to the financial. The airport recorded grant revenue of $157,000. That is for the hangar construction out there. Electric, I think the profit was $152,000, and part of that was due to an extremely lower cost of purchase power. They had a MISO credit of $155,000 from the higher prices that were charged in February, okay? And gas, of course, is much better. The fund that probably changed the most is the health fund. I did the accrual for the claims that had been recorded to 2021, but were actually incurred in 2020. So I took $87,000 of claims out of 2021, accrued them back to December. So the health fund is now in the black. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Kathy, normally, and under normal circumstances and things, and maybe we just don't have the numbers, you usually have where we're at sales tax wise.
I never do a comparison with only 2 months.
Okay.
I wait till 3. You know, 2's pretty iffy, and we've only recorded 2 months so far this year. Because we
Just
always
'cause it's
lag.
so out
but-
of whack with the
Yeah,
year
and-
end and new year.
Right. So I wait until April, and that's the first time I do a comparison.
Thank you.
Do you have a feeling about it?
Never ask an accountant
No
if she has a feeling.
no comment.
Yeah, exactly.
Have feelings,
CFOs have no feelings.
And doesn't the state only reimburse us every quarter?
No,
Oh,
I
they-
receive a monthly distribution
okay.
report. However, there are many businesses in the city of Fulton that only report sales tax quarterly.
Ah, that's where the.
So
quarter
you'll
comes from.
see
There's why.
every third month, you'll see that uptick.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any questions for Kathy? Any other discussion? All those in favor of?
We actually
Oh,
need a
I need a motion, I'm sorry.
Move for
Keep
acceptance.
rushing that.
You're okay.
Did I
Move for
get one?
acceptance?
Thank you.
Second.
Thank
Yep.
you.
All right. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Thank you. All right. We do not have unfinished business. Under new business, we have representatives from the Central Missouri Foster Care and Adoption Association. They'll be here to present the request for a fee waiver for Saturday, May 8th, for their youth fishing event at Whitlow.
So, I actually got a phone call at the end of the day today, and they had an unexpected situation occur, so no one is here to present this one tonight. You do have a copy of the request in your packet. My understanding is this is their second event of this type, and they are looking for a fee waiver.
And is the fishing part of it, does the city get involved with that part at all? Like,
No.
Clay?
I don't
we're
think
just
so.
fishing in the lake there at Veterans Park?
We have a youth fishing tournament on June 5th.
Yeah, so this is just something totally unrelated. All right.
What would the normal fee be here? We're talking about
$40.
40?
Yeah.
Okay.
I make a motion, we approve the fee waiver.
Second.
Go ahead.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions? Discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
And opposed, no.
Yep.
Next up, we have folks from our Street Fair Committee to request permission for the fair to be held June 25th and 26th.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'm going to abstain from the vote as I'm the co-chair on the committee.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Hello, my name's Tiffany, and I am on the committee for the Fulton Street Fair. I'm just here to officially request approval for us to hold the fair June 25th and 26th in downtown Fulton.
I know you guys have been working hard. We appreciate it.
Thank you. It's been a good year so far, so we're all very excited.
Yeah, we're all excited for things like this. We did have a couple of items that were brought up about just some changes this year. Mr. Johnson, if you want to.
We actually, as far as closing any of Court Street on Tuesday night, I actually had the police chief go back to the EOC. Nobody here remembered us doing that.
Okay,
I had the police chief check with the Emergency Operations Center.
okay,
And they keep track of road closures for emergency vehicle purposes. And closing Court Street on Tuesday night had never been approved. Maybe it'd been requested.
okay.
And I'm not arguing that it had been requested, but we just didn't think that had been ever approved in the past. You know, we did some talking, and I got everybody here, the appropriate ones here. I think maybe last year they closed 7th Street from Court to Market. Maybe I was on Tuesday night, set that big slide up and get some of that going. But as far as anything on Court Street Tuesday night, I don't recall that.
Okay, so in our letter, it does ask for the street to be closed at 5 p.m. between St. Louis and 7th Street. And we went back to our committee after our meeting, and it was their understanding it had always been closed for the carnival to set up because they set up all of their rides Wednesday. They test them on Thursday because they open for family night on Thursday evening.
I'm just going off of our records.
And we contacted the carnival company as well, and we even threw it out there that we weren't going to close the street until Wednesday. And the owner's mom wrote back and said, well, we always start on Wednesday. The road's always been closed for us Tuesday. And she corrected us. We even threw it out there like we weren't going to, and she caught it. So.
And it'd be a big deal for them if we wouldn't be able to do that.
I personally don't know where else they would set up the rides or the slide that they have there. We've already asked permission from the church. We use part of the library, maybe part of that First Christian right across the street. And so those spots are already taken in capacity.
If we're talking about setup on Wednesday, I mean, can we look at like 4 a.m. on Wednesday morning rather than 5 p.m. Tuesday? Why are we, I'm just using your words. Your words is that
to close it at 5 p.m.
But that the person said they've always set up on Wednesday, and when they got there in the morning, it was closed. So
They
what's
set
our
up Wednesday
opportunity?
morning. I think they bring their trailers with the equipment in Tuesday night.
Okay, that's a new piece of information. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I believe in the past that I can recall, it is that Tuesday they do arrive and they set up the trailers and everything are there. And usually they start running electricity and getting everything set up for that street fair.
Yeah, I can't tell you. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I don't either, I can't remember.
But either way, it seems like we ought to try to accommodate.
I used to live out that way, and I don't remember it ever being closed on Tuesday night either, but I mean,
Yeah.
if that's what needs to be done, you know.
Right.
I would really like to suggest that we try to find an alternative location for that carnival part of the street fair. I don't know where it would be off the top of my head for future years. Because I think it's a huge inconvenience to close the streets down that long for the local residents.
And that's why we wanted to keep Court Street open as long as possible.
Right.
I think I'm not, if anybody disagrees with me, speak up, please, but I just remember 5 o'clock Wednesday. And we had the barricades sitting on the intersections, and the street fair committee is responsible for pulling them out, setting them up. We deliver them to the site, but then at the appropriate hour, the street fair committee kind of pulled them out. And maybe, you know, on Tuesday night, if they still want to like pull the trailer in, it's because I think that's where some of the carnival games are and some of that stuff.
And the large slide, they have the
I think
double slide.
I think that one on the side street on 7th between Court and Market. And I think we could close that one block. I don't think that'd be too inconvenient. But, you know, we still have a lot of restaurants and stuff downtown and businesses on Tuesday evening. That, you know, there are already 4 nights of inconvenience without this. And if we want to close a Tuesday night too, it's an extra night. That's where we're coming from. So that's the one issue.
Could we, before we move on, could we see how things work out that Tuesday evening and be prepared to shut it down if it's necessary, but maybe leave it open if possible?
Mr. Mayor, I remember it seemed like St. Louis Avenue to 6th Street, where it was kind of like, that's where it stopped at and kept that from 6th Street to 5th and on down open while they were bringing their things in. Seemed like that, so my memory serves me right.
Court Street from St.
From
Louis to
St. Louis Avenue
Right.
to 6th Street, and that's where I think where used to be, where's the pharmacist there, what corner is that?
We leave the access open for CVS too, so it's not that far down, so they can still come onto Court Street up until Thursday night.
When the carnival starts.
Mr. Mayor, I'm kind of with you. I think we should go ahead and approve the request for this year.
And
But
make a notation.
with, what I would like to see is is all but exact communication between you and the carnival and the chief. If they're not going to arrive till 11 o'clock at night, Tuesday night, then don't close it down till 10. If they're not going to arrive till 3 o'clock in the morning, then don't close it down till 2.
Okay.
Let's not just close it at 5 just because we've asked for 5.
They are already in Fulton on Sunday evening.
Yeah,
They're here Sunday evening.
So
And-
then, what are they moving on Tuesdays? If they're already here on Sunday,
They want to start setting up.
They want to start setting up all day Wednesday,
all day Wednesday.
and then they test everything Thursday morning because they open up Thursday
Thursday
evening
evening.
for family fun night, or family evening.
So then
sorry.
why does the street need to be closed on Tuesday if they're already here, they're already present, they're already parked, and they're not going to do anything till Wednesday morning? Why does that piece of the street have to be closed on Tuesday night? I'm missing something.
They bring the vehicles down Tuesday and set them on the streets. So they go somewhere else on Sunday. They don't come, I think that they're like maybe at a,
They're at over-
It says they're at the
yeah,
soccer park.
Okay.
Morgan Soccer Complex.
Out there, yeah.
Okay, that's why I keep asking questions, because I'm missing pieces of the story.
So at 6 PM Tuesday, they're actually bringing in the rides and stuff down the middle of Court Street. Is that what you're saying?
And
They're
setting
preparing to
up.
set up.
You're
for
right,
Wednesday,
in
yes.
preparation to set up Wednesday.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Thank you. That-
And they couldn't do that like 10 PM or something like that to let the businesses, the different restaurants and stuff?
I mean, if they're already here and they're just trying to relocate,
Right.
I mean, I know that's,
I'm happy to go back and ask them if
Yeah.
that kind of adjustment can be made, and certainly do that going forward.
I mean, what,
everything's
Yeah.
north of CVS too.
Yes.
right.
It's
This-
not, so
It's
it's
not
gonna
downtown
keep it-
past,
So somebody can still get 6th
So
Street
we
to
talk about,
Court?
we've
Yeah.
talked about St. Louis to 7th Street, that's really one block. That's only one block. And Bill, you said, maybe I heard you wrong, but I thought you said that there was a spot where one block was what we've closed in the past, just that one
It was
block.
7th Street between Court
Nichols.
and Market.
A side street.
Nichols. It goes between Court and Nichols, is where the slide sits between Court and Nichols.
I think last year they put it on the site.
Did they move it
Yeah.
last year?
Yeah,
in
2 years
2019.
ago.
In 2019, they moved it to between Court and Market?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if they
Been a
want,
few years
if
since
they
I
wa-
wrote on it.
if they
so-
wanted to put it, if they wanted to put it, and again, if they wanted to put it back between Court and Nichols, I'd say, yeah, let's go ahead and close that Tuesday night. I don't care. But just, anyway.
And
Okay.
So we can-
to me, the more intersections they can leave open so people can at least, they get down there and they say, okay, I can't get through, but they could make a right or whatever and get
Right.
over to the other streets and get around.
I think that CBC, that right there from St. Louis to there should be fine. You can have access to get in and on.
Sure.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, for safety's sake, it probably ought to be closed while they're doing all that stuff between St. Louis and 7th.
and yeah, and 7th Street.
So we're going to close it Tuesday night?
I think we'd like for you to discuss, at least ask them if
I'm
that's
willing to.
Absolutely.
absolutely
I'm willing to
necessary.
approve the request, but if we can delay them as much as possible and just coordinate it with the police to not put the barricade up until the very last minute, that's
I say 6
convenient also for the police department.
Absolutely. We will go back and have another conversation with them and see what flexibility we have and how we can make both parties happy.
Okay, the next item is closing 2nd Street near Memorial Park during the fireworks. And we haven't done that for years. But it's been the request, and the request keeps, you know, next year's committee looks at last year's request and just submits it. And we've sat in the rooms several years. Kevin, when was the last time that you remember that? The fire department always shows up and provides safety support.
Sure.
And because the guy that shoots the fireworks said, no, I don't need that closed. So we haven't done that. And then the third request is, they've requested 32 of our 96-gallon containers, our residential carts. Folks, we don't have 32 containers available. We're down at, when I talked to Robert and Wendy about this last week, we had 12. But as containers break and new houses are built and can open. So I'm guessing we're probably down, I mean, today, we're probably down to 10. We have 50 ordered that we ordered in January, but they're not here.
Yep.
I guess Wendy did say that they are scheduled for delivery on, what'd you say, June 20th? June 20th. Well, that's not,
Yeah, you just in
So
time.
if they get here,
if they get here, we'll use them.
Yeah.
So Robert has talked to the street fair committee, and we're gonna
Yes.
we're gonna just set additional two-yard dumpsters. Six
Six
yard
yard.
dumpsters? We're gonna set additional 6-yard dumpsters, where the street fair committee wants them,
okay.
where they're accessible to our front load truck, so we can get in there and dump them. But, we don't have them.
Now,
That's,
years ago, we used to have blue barrels that we used in the different parks and such for trash receptacles. Are those gone?
They must be.
Okay.
Probably don't have lids, so they,
Well, no, they didn't have lids.
varmints and that sort of thing, right?
Okay, I was just thinking if we still had some, we could use them, but,
Those are gone.
Okay.
I don't remember those.
What's the process for getting old cans back from folks when do they shut their utilities off and then we pick their can up, or how does that work?
Or sometimes someone else signs in into the application.
I just wonder if there's some like dormant places
Yeah,
out
good
there
idea.
that we might identify as being vacant and we can go get them.
yeah.
Anyway, I think we've got a workaround for the trash containers.
no, I won't say it.
I think that's resolved, so. What I'm hearing is, are there any other questions on the request? What I'm hearing is they're gonna close 7th Street, or Park Street, as late as possible.
Right.
Yes, we will talk to the carnival company and find out what is the absolute latest time. And then, yeah, go from there.
We will not be closing 2nd Street for the fireworks,
Okay.
and we gotta work around on the trash, so based on that little comments and statements, I'd
Yeah.
recommend approval.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Move for approval as amended.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second.
Yep.
Any other questions? Discussion? I'll call for the question. All those in favor say yes.
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 Opposed, no. All right, again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all's time.
Thank you.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Be good to
No
be
way.
back.
Well, I'd just
know.
like to thank the Street Fair Committee, because
Yes.
they're a group of volunteers that works very hard
Yes.
to let the citizens have a great time. And, I mean, the city is actively involved, and we do a lot, but they do all the planning and all the background to pull this whole thing together.
Yeah.
So I want to say thank you, even though we get a little issues here and there. I just wanna-
Exactly.
I want to say thank you for all the hard work you do.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Russ.
Look forward to it.
Yeah, I do too.
Cool. All right, we'll move on to item C under new business, representatives from Kingdom Homeschoolers. Are we here again?
I'm going to start asking
Courtney.
for a kickback on these, I think.
Right.
I was under the understanding someone would be here to present this request, so I'm not sure where they are this evening. But again, this is an event that has taken place for many years. They come every single year and ask for a fee waiver. And so this is basically their end-of-year gathering for the homeschool group, the families and the children.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
It's on a Friday, and the soccer park's not going to be used anyway on a Friday.
Thank you.
Sounds good. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
And opposed, no. And demolition grant. Very exciting news, hopefully coming up here.
Yes.
Okay, so to give you a little update, we started this in fall of 2019. Last year with COVID, kind of put a hold on us. We didn't have the participation yet, but we started again working on it last fall. And we've got the participation needed from the property owners to go ahead and apply for the grant. We started working with Lincoln Brown from Mid-Missouri Regional Planning. He is going to handle the application process for us. If we do receive the grant, we will administer it in-house. But we have 44 houses signed up right now. We're working on a budget for the application to hopefully get rid of all 44 of these houses if we're awarded the grant. So,
Each house that is on the list, as a requirement to get on the list and show the homeowner's commitment, was required to submit $500 to get, and any, if they want to get off the list, they can go off the list and get their $500 back. But just in order for us to show local commitment on the part of the homeowner, and to get a little more local cash to support the grant, we required each homeowner to put down $500. And he's got 44 willing participants.
Yeah.
That's
And
for
there's-
basically $500.
That's
Their,
awesome.
that piece of property is gonna be cleaned up, leveled up, grassed and seeded. It'll go
Way to
from
go,
the conditions
Dennis.
down to a level lot.
If
we've
the
been awarded-
if the grant goes through, do they get their $500 back, or is that
No.
non-refundable?
no, that goes towards the demolition.
Towards
Thank you.
demolition.
If it doesn't go through, they get their money back.
If it doesn't go through, we'll give the money back.
Okay, but we don't have the grant, we're just applying for this at this point.
We do not have the grant.
Okay.
Now, if we don't get the grant, we could hold on to it and reapply next year.
I see. Oh,
So does
okay.
that still, at that point then, is it the individuals that would be handed the grant money to do it, or,
We would take care of that.
so then we have to go to lead abatement,
What's that?
potential lead abatement?
Yes,
Yes, and asbestos.
asbestos, yes.
Of course.
Correct.
And the sites will all have to have a study done, is that right?
They'll have to have environmental testing done,
Exactly.
And
Good.
environmental review.
Excellent.
review.
Dennis, thank you for the hard work that you're doing on that.
Yes,
That's
Yeah, we've
awesome.
been, Casey and I,
Yes, that's
Casey's
awesome.
been doing a lot of legwork on getting these property owners to commit to sign up, so
Yes,
This needs done.
it's a big, there's a lot of areas that it would help.
It sure will.
And, this is 44 buildings in town that would be removed, which would be a tremendous thing in and of itself.
Yes.
But then what you also need to look at is, we're gonna have 44 vacant lots scattered through some of the densest area of town that we have.
Right.
So someone's gonna be able to build a brand-new home.
Right.
In some of these areas that would be a tremendous boost to
Yes.
that neighborhood.
and there are builders looking for land in these areas. They're looking for places to build,
Sure,
especially in Greenville.
exactly.
And the property owner, they're gonna get this building removed for their $500 contribution. They might be able to sell that lot for $2,000 or $3,000.
That's
Exactly.
right, they get,
And then it goes on the tax rolls.
And then it'll
of
go
your
back on
house
the
and all
tax
that.
rolls, and
Right.
there'll be utilities used, and
sure.
how about the population?
Way to go, Dennis.
Win-win to
Still
me.
be on tax, but.
Awesome.
Any questions? And I know you don't know the answer, but I'm gonna ask it. When are the applications gonna be due?
They haven't released that information. We know that there's money there.
Okay.
They have released that, but they have not released the application
The
deadline.
date.
So, Lincoln let us know, once we have that information, then we will schedule a public hearing.
Okay.
So,
And and a resolution will come back to the city council, because there will be city money that's gonna need to be expended
Right.
on this grant, whatever the difference between what the grant is gonna cost, and we'll take off the 22,000 we got from the homeowners, and the city will pick up the difference. We're gonna be doing quite a bit of it in kind, so it's not gonna all be cash.
That's
But
good.
there's still gonna be a cash requirement.
Boy, we need
And the
that.
city council's gonna need to authorize that prior to the application going in.
All right.
Yep.
Just tell me we don't have to do 44 resolutions.
no,
Thank you.
no. So,
One, hopefully one.
We'll let Lauren and Alan read those for practice.
Yeah, the practice, yeah.
There you go.
Don't forget Mike, we got to.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the groove
He's
here.
had plenty of
back in.
practice, but yeah, he does need to get back in the groove.
Back in.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm grandfathered in, all right.
Yeah, yeah.
More,
No,
more,
I
more.
think we're good.
we are
Just an
continuing,
update.
we do have two other properties, we are using our ordinance for those properties. They weren't eligible for the grant, but just for various reasons. But we are working on a couple of
Working
those
on a couple.
properties right now, too.
Great.
So,
Awesome. It's good.
Appreciate that,
Yes,
getting that information.
sure do.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thanks.
Thank you, young
Thank
man.
Casey for us, too.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
I got you
Uh-oh.
later. I got you when you're in the council concerns.
All right. We will move on to council concerns. And afterwards, we do have a couple of topics that came up that we probably already talked about most of it. But so I'll start with Councilwoman Nelson. Any concerns?
No, sir.
All right, Councilman Washington,
Not at this time.
Councilman Combs.
Bless you.
Yeah, I mean, my only thing is
Allergies.
I would
Oh, I know.
like to remind people to lock their cars at night. I had mine rummaged through a couple nights ago over on the south side of town. So I know other people were having issues over there too. So just a reminder.
They got all your cool 90s CDs.
They took nothing. They just went through.
How do you know they broke in?
I'm sorry for laughing.
It's funny.
That's pretty funny.
Yep, there's change laying there and everything. They didn't want anything, so I'm good.
They didn't have what, or you didn't have what they were looking for.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right,
Yeah, it's
Councilman
fine.
Braun.
Sorry.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. We had, I guess it's been a month and a half or maybe a little bit longer ago, we had a request from the VFW that they were interested in taking over the fireworks for the city and that they wanted to know if we could come up with a location. I'd like to see that kind of move forward and let's figure that out.
I have had communications with them, and I might be wrong. I'm kind of halfway under the impression it's back at the country club.
Okay, so that wouldn't be us.
That would not be us.
It's between them and the country club at that.
Oh, I see.
And I know the country club is fine with it. They have no problem having the fireworks there for
Well,
as long
I know
as
they-
we want to.
I know they, kind of what I heard was, that's where it's always been, and it's right next to Veterans Park for the 4th of July, which they thought had some significance.
Sure.
And there's a number of families that utilize Veterans Park on the 4th of July for picnics and activities, and it's just kind of what they do on the 4th of July. They go to Veterans Park and have
Yeah.
a family gathering and then stick around for fireworks. So I'm going to say with reasonable amounts of surety that it's going to continue at the country club.
But the VFW is paying for it.
The city
Not
is not.
really. The VFW is raising the funds. There's going to be lots of businesses
Lots of
again.
donations.
Okay.
So if you want
Hopefully
to
they,
donate, get a hold of somebody in the VFW. They are actively accepting donations.
So
So there
I'm-
was more of a notice, not necessarily a request. It was just letting us.
oh, letting us know. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I'm on the country club board,
Oh, okay.
and I know we have not talked about it. Other than in, this is probably the better place to put it, but there's been no, hey, can we host the fireworks thing?
Oh.
I will talk to the president of the board, because they've probably talked to him about it. And I know we
President
sort of
talked to me
generally
about it.
mention it, and we would have no problems hosting that. We kind of think that's the better place for it. We've looked at other places, and it's just, we can't come up with a better place. So I'm sure we would have no problems. We've not officially said anything amongst the board of directors,
Okay.
but I'll make that information known and see what everybody says.
Okay.
Very good.
Yeah.
And then my last and final one is, back in September, October, when we were in budget meetings, we talked about a personnel/pay committee, /panel. I don't think we ever came up with a name, and it's been since the end of February, and I brought it up. Where are we at with that, and how are we coming along with it?
Michelle
Are we ready
has
to move
gathered some
forward?
information, but before we do any massaging or presenting, Jeff was going to give us a concept of what he was looking for,
Oh, okay.
and he just said he's going to be getting that to us very shortly.
Okay.
And I recognize I've said that the past 2 months also.
We're all pretty busy
We're
people.
almost back to budget time.
Yes.
It's
Yeah, we
coming
are.
up very quickly. We're going to be back on budget time.
Before you know
And I
it.
think it needs to be discussed and certainly
yeah.
looked at. That's it.
Okay, moving on, we'll,
This side.
Councilman Stone, sorry about,
There you go.
No concerns tonight, Mr. Mayor.
all right, Councilwoman Ricklew,
Not this evening, thank you.
Councilman Simmons.
Well, I was going to discuss the utility board meeting from last night, but we've beaten that to death.
Yeah.
So I have no more concerns.
Okay, thank you, Ballard, and Councilman West.
Okay, I have 3, but I only remember 2, so I'll save the next one for when I remember it and come back next time. It's the beauty of getting old. First of all, I want to express thanks to the gas department and the city staff. I was contacted by a constituent one day last week that had no gas in his house, in his home, and I called up here. The city responded very quickly. It ended up it was on his end, so I mean within 30 minutes, I think the city had been there and he already had a contractor there taking care of the situation. So, because I drove by not too long ago and the truck from the contractor was already sitting there. The second thing I'd like to discuss is setting up a strategic planning, like this summer, and it's almost late spring now, I guess, late spring, summer, early fall, to talk about what we want to do for the city as, the council, what our vision is for the city, things like that. And I'm talking about things like, I go to other towns and I see a sign that says, welcome to, in this case, Fulton, and it's got the Kiwanis, the Rotary, the Knights of Columbus, all the different, everybody's emblems on it, and I don't know how they do that. Do they get all these different organizations to contribute to do that? And you go to other towns and you see, attend the church of your choice on Sundays, things like that, and that's just a small piece. Beautification around the city, what are we doing with the streets, the sidewalks? I haven't blown Bill's phone up too much, but I've been sending him a few things, and just things I know, and other small items that I see around town. I think if we don't set the vision, and I was guilty of this when I was here before, we really never did that. The last time I remember doing strategic planning was when Bob Fisher was mayor, and that's been a while back, to say the least. So, just some food for thought.
Yeah, very good. We've got strategic plans for several things. I don't know that we have one really for the whole city.
Yeah,
Right. And sometimes those get
Pretty big
developed and then
broad.
sit on the shelf and collect dust till you dust them off and talk about them the next time. I'd rather see actionable items, things that we can do. Thank you.
Very good. Sure, yeah, we'll let Mr. Johnson.
Just 2 things I want to talk to you about tonight that, there was a question last week about property in the city of Fulton. I think the very back set of forms in your packet is a list of the city-owned property. Following that request from the city council, I got a hold of the engineering department, and they came up with this list. And they also put together a map. I'm just going to want to show you the map. I'll show it 2 different ways. Hold it like this.
Is that upside down? Can the camera see that?
It's upside down, but that's.
There you go.
I'm getting closer.
This
I
is
can't see it from here, so I
okay.
need to
People
get
are telling me otherwise.
There's some blue spots.
I don't know if he can zoom in on that.
It's the very last document.
Pretty much the point is they're everywhere.
Okay, show you guys down here. There's the map that the engineering department came up with.
Under the memo,
We got property all over town.
Right.
Oh, my.
Some of it's decent, some of it's,
And I think it's obvious, that we're not going to sell things like the airport and
No.
things like that, but some of this other, vacant lots and
I think,
things like
I think,
that.
I don't want to get quoted on this.
And kind of what brought that up was the whiskey war on this side.
There is one lot up near Carver School that the city owns. But Carver School is applying for a project that would put some senior housing in that neighborhood. And if they're successful with that, they've asked that the city donate that lot to them. And I've said, hey, yeah, sure, I think the city'd be interested. And just to make sure we don't sell it, why don't you go ahead and mow it for me this summer? And they've kind of indicated they might do it in order to keep the options open as far as for us not to sell it. They don't want us to sell it, let's put it that way, at this point in time.
Okay.
And other than that, I think, we did that major surplus property in, I think it was 2012, when we got rid of all our little lots that we had around town.
Yeah.
So I think that's about the only one that we have left that may have any intrinsic value to anybody, other than a creek bed someplace, or we got some utility right away and stuff, but none of that's buildable. So does anybody have any questions on this?
Are some of them appear that they're double
Some of us are locked by that.
billed to go into the 122 number? Is that because they have different entrances to them?
Buy that.
Why is it that some of them appear to be
invest in
double?
that.
For instance,
Different parcels.
Probably the way they're platted.
the golf course,
Years ago.
you know, you look at 1, 2, 3, actually there's 3 different golf course pieces.
Just, it's different pieces, different plats.
All right.
Yeah,
Different
they're all
plats.
So
plats,
it
yeah.
was just never combined. Perfect, thank you.
All right.
Thanks for preparing that.
Thank you,
I'll
yes.
pass that on to Kyle. That you said
Thank you, Kyle, for not being here.
The backhanded, thank you a little bit.
If there's no more questions on that, I'm going to ask Robert to come to the podium.
Okay, Robert, your turn.
He's got some information to share with you tonight.
All right.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
can we take 5?
Yeah, we can do that.
Please.
Sorry,
Yeah, we'll
Robert.
take
No,
5
that's
minutes.
fine.
The 9
the extra money. But granted,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
electric has
You're welcome.
9, gas has 2, water's got 2.
Think of it this way. Oh, okay.
Sorry, guys. We'll have another opportunity.
That's fine.
We'll start back up here with a presentation from our Assistant Director.
Darren's like, don't do that.
Yeah, Robert.
No, Darren's back there, right? Don't do that.
It works, huh?
Yeah, it does.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening, Robert.
Bill said that since we had the street fair on there and then we're talking about trash cans, it'd be a good time to talk about our recycling totes, because we had talked about, ordering some and getting them passed out. We had a waiting list, and so we had them all assembled, and everyone on the waiting list at 101 has gotten one. And so we thought maybe it'd be a good time to talk about increasing the fare or the fee.
Tip fees for,
Right.
or to have a cart.
Just talking about on recycling.
Didn't we already?
We talked about it, yes.
Waiting to institute it
Correct.
until we got the carts and took care of
Right.
the service.
Now
Right,
got
we
it.
did draft an
Correct.
ordinance with all of those proposed changes and requiring a cart in order to take advantage of recycling services. However, we didn't enact that ordinance because at that time we didn't have enough carts.
Right, and we said we wouldn't until we had them all passed out the 101.
So Robert, could you cover, because we do have a couple of new people and Mr. West might not be
Sure.
familiar with
Sure.
what we're talking about, but could you cover what we're talking about?
Sure, I'll try to give you a brief
I'm
shot.
new too.
We had talked about our recycling program, have been losing money for a while. We do not only residential recycling, but we also do household hazardous waste and yard waste. And so we were trying to figure out a way that we could, either keep the program and either increase the fees or trying to find ways to make it at least break even. So what we decided to do, instead of doing recycling every week, we do it twice a month, I guess, or every other week, and do yard waste every other week. And then we also decided to do, I think we put that in place January 4th of this year. And then we also decided that we were going to increase the fee from $1 to $2 for a month for a can. And but we decided we weren't going to put that in place. We also, I guess, on household hazardous waste, we do it with from April to October.
Once a month.
And we used to do it twice a month, but we're only going to do it once a month.
Once a month, that makes
That was
sense.
another decision that we had made. And
Another decision was that once we do this ordinance and pass this modification, we will only pick up the recycling from houses that have carts.
correct, right,
Yes. Not
If you
just
want to
bags.
participate in
Right.
recycling,
No bags.
no bags,
you will have to have a cart.
right.
Yes.
So,
But yard waste will still be bags?
Yes.
There'll be no
Or tied up.
modification of yard waste other than picking up twice a week instead of every
And
week.
we moved the roll-off from the fire department to right outside of our warehouse.
Yes.
Makes a world of difference.
Yeah,
yeah, I've
I
used it
know.
many times, and
yeah.
it's,
What is the
I
hour?
like
Took
it
a little
better.
while.
Good
right?
move.
Yeah,
It was a
well,
good-
once I drove down to the fire station and
It's
said,
open
where's the?
anytime.
It's a good
Just
move.
go and say open anytime.
Have you seen still a lot of people using their recycling just by putting them in bags on their streets?
Yeah, some,
Okay.
yeah, and some cardboard and stuff like that too, but stacked out. I'm guilty as one.
Okay. And
It'll
now you have a
probably take a
cart.
little bit to
Yeah.
get folks used to not
Yeah,
being able to use the
Yeah.
bag, so that might be a little bit of a educational
yeah,
curve
So
there.
they need it, they need a can.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
So on the yard waste, are we really collecting that much in January and February? Is it even beneficial to do it before, say, March or April? I'm just asking the
No, that's a
question.
real good question, Councilman, because we do, but not as much. I mean, once you get in the
Right.
spring,
Yeah.
it really jumps. It really
Sure.
jumps. But you're right, January and February, it's pretty slow.
Yeah.
December, pretty
Yeah.
slow.
I mean, this twisted my arm, we went and got a cart, and honestly, it's a good thing for the city workers too, because sometimes my cans were more than I wanted to handle, so I tried to spread the weight out, but now the cart, they can just pick it up with the arm, so it's a safety thing for the workers as well. And I think the changes you've made have been really, really good, and I think this is the right idea. I think we're gonna have to publicize this in the newsletter and elsewhere, as Fulton Sun is here tonight to help publicize this as well. As if you want to participate, you had to, and I knew that was coming because I saw it in the paper before. The other thing, while we're talking about recycling, is have we reached out to other communities? Like I know St. Peters, Missouri has a big recycling program of what they're doing with theirs, because I know there's concerns about it. We take it down to Jefferson City and the rates keep going up, and that's a big concern.
That they were going up everywhere.
Yeah, I think this is a popular program, but it's just like, at some point, it's
Ours is still
untenable.
at 140, right?
There's, Mike, there's probably as many towns just killing the program as well.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just, here 3 or 4 years ago, and I don't want to make this political, but China quit accepting all of our recycling.
Right.
They used to just load it on container ships
Yeah.
and ship it to China.
Right.
But it was, people didn't care enough what they put in the recycling to have a clean waste stream. And China got to the point where we're just taking the United States trash. So they said, we're not taking any of it anymore. And at that point in time, the bottom just fell out. And that's when, we used to, I think it was paid $10 a ton to dump our recycling in Jeff City.
Right.
And over the course of that 2-year period, we're up to $140 a ton now.
Right.
We've investigated some other areas and locations to take it,
Yeah.
but by the time you look at any type of trucking, we really don't have any other options.
And I know a lot of it happened during the Trump administration when the embargoes and all this was going on too. So,
There was a lot.
I was aware of the China stuff, but that's more insight than I had, but, yeah.
Yes, sir.
It's unfortunate.
Just to split the hair on the recycle, if somebody has a cart, but they have more recycling one week than they actually have a cart, are we gonna allow for recycling to be set beside that cart, or does it have to be in the cart? And I just want to make sure that it's clear to the citizens, as well as myself. I mean, I've got 2 carts, but sometimes I still have more than that, so I set it in between the 2 carts to designate it as recycle, but
Well, I'm going to answer that for Mr. Boone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
When it comes to your household trash, we will only pick up what's in the cart. If you set trash next to the cart, we're going to leave it. Okay? The driver of the one-armed bandit that picks up the residential trash does not get out of the truck.
right.
Okay? With the recycling, we're not going to have a one-armed bandit. We don't, currently, we don't plan on using a one-armed bandit for that. So yes, because the driver's getting out for your recycling, if there's something on the ground, we'll pick it up.
If you have your can, you can do, yeah, okay.
But as long as
Makes
you
sense.
also have a cart.
Have a card, or
You have to have
yeah.
a cart.
Right, keep in mind, if you got your cart here,
And
and you
you've
got
got-
the rest of it way back there, they may not get to it.
Right.
Right.
But I thought
Thank you.
Yes.
the truck we had an arm on it.
It does, but that's not our recycling truck.
No,
not the
the
recycling.
recycling truck is the split hopper truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it
It's
had
got
an
a
arm on
lift
it.
thing,
Oh,
it just doesn't have the arm, right?
We don't have an arm on that truck.
Right.
But it does have a lift. They push the cart up to this little gadget and it zooms it right up and flips it up.
Okay,
So
that's-
they still don't have to lift
It's called a
it.
tipper.
That's what I'm
Doesn't
thinking
have
of.
that
Okay.
arm.
Rob, I have
got
one
you.
more.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
If, we need to look a little closer at possibly not doing the recycle through the winter months. There's 3 or 4 months in there, we could, December.
Yard waste or recycle?
I would say
The
yard waste.
recycle, I'm sorry, the recycle, of
You
course.
mean the yard waste?
The yard waste, I'm talking about that.
That's what, that's
The yard
recycling.
waste, excuse me, the yard waste, thank you.
That's what
I generate recycling all year round.
No, not that.
Councilman West, he
my
brought
night
up the
of
same thing. He
clarification. My
brought up the
apologies.
same issue as far as yard waste.
So maybe next year
Thank
when we print new calendars, we'll,
Thank you.
in December, January, February, March, we'll just do once a week yard
Yeah.
waste.
Keep
I
it-
really
Once
like
a
it on
month.
the holidays.
Once a month.
If I had a choice around the holidays,
Like
the
Thanksgiving and Christmas.
recycling
More.
Was more often.
Twice
Yeah.
a week.
My cup runneth over.
Between Amazon and Christmas, I need twice a week.
Is it possible when we stop the yard waste to do the recycling each week instead? Because, I mean, we definitely produce that much recycling.
Oh, we do too, a lot of it.
Anything's possible. But, so what I'm, so for
Just
the
don't
next
go to
council
Jeff's, he's
meeting,
got
we'll
too
have
much.
that ordinance back on the agenda, and with some anticipation of it being approved.
And I do just
Keep
want
it
to
in mind,
clarify,
we were losing money, so we're not trying to do it.
I do just want to clarify really quickly. So Councilman Stone, your question was a really, really good one. The ordinance as it was presented last time does not allow for anything outside of the cart to be picked up.
On the
So-
recycling?
Correct. So are we going to modify that, Mr. Johnson?
Yeah, I'd say we probably should,
Okay.
for at least for the
So-
time being. Unless-
So, Mr. Moon,
Yes, sir.
the discussion about maybe not picking up yard waste and doubling up recycling is something, you know, if we're seeing a lot of carts with bags of recycling sitting outside the carts,
Oh, maybe.
that might be a very good justification
We need to require-
to double up on the amount of recycling trips we make.
Well, then,
And that's,
and maybe the thought process was, if you got
Right.
that much recycling, you
You
need to
need
rent
2
another cart.
carts.
And I've
Well,
already got
that's-
2, Mr.
He's got
Johnson.
two. He's got about trash.
Well, and are we going to have enough carts if more people ask when they can't do bags?
Yep.
Sure.
Okay, so we do have extra.
Yes, right now we do.
Okay.
But I also think some people are gonna give it up when we go from $1
When we go
to
from
$2.
$1 to $2.
$1? Yeah. It's going to make that much difference?
Yes, ma'am.
I wouldn't even see it on my utility bill.
Yeah, I don't.
I wouldn't either. 'cause my
Mr.
wife
Boone,
looks
how
at
many
it.
extras do we have at the moment?
Yeah,
We have like 24, I believe,
Okay.
right now.
Well, I just imagine that as this gets publicity, that we are going to enact the ordinance. We're going to read it next time. We're going to set a date. We may have some additional interest than what we've already had. So I was just curious if we had 2 or 24, so thank you.
We'll put them on the list. So going back to the issue that Courtney brought up, do you want us to get out of the truck for recycling? Or do we want to encourage people to get in the cart?
I would think it needs to be
Either
in
way,
the
I
cart.
just wanted it to be
Cart.
clarified.
I think it needs to be in the cart.
In the
Here's
cart,
why.
I agree.
In the cart?
Yes.
I think so,
In the cart? Okay,
cart.
we are not,
Right. Then
Correction
we'll
for the
keep it
newspaper.
as it was.
we are not going to get out of
I
the truck
thought
for
that's where
recycling.
you were going when
Well,
you said
well,
the trash.
No, we
were
will,
gonna
Out of the
it's
truck
got, it's
anyway.
got to be in a
Right.
blue cart to get recycled. We will not pick things off the ground.
Okay.
I feel like it grays the lines.
Yes.
Yeah,
That
then,
If you say, okay, well, if you have a cart, you can leave it outside, but if you don't have a cart, don't leave it outside because we're not going to pick it up, but we're picking up this person.
We're only going to pick up what's in the cart for recycling.
So put it next to your neighbor's
And
cart.
People just don't.
Take it to Mike's.
That's what would happen.
It grays the lines.
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
That was good.
congratulations, that was great news.
And
That's all you wanted,
Mr.
wasn't
I
it?
just want to make a comment. I had been approached this week by a constituent that had heard rumor that that the city of Fulton was just simply taking the recycling off to the landfill. And we've clarified that that is absolutely not true.
That's
We
correct.
want everybody to know, both city employees
Yes.
and the citizens to know that we are honoring the recycling program. We
Yes.
are taking what's in the recycle bins to the recycling center.
Correct.
And
Yes.
we're doing all of this, so
Yes.
just, if anybody has any questions, please contact Robert.
I think Jeff City may have changed its name or something, maybe that confused some people or
That
something.
could- Yeah.
I'm not sure where the confusion came, but we've clarified it tonight, so that's wonderful.
So how much per ton are we paying to recycle?
140,
How much per ton are we paying for trash?
32.
Going up to 36.
36.
How many tons do we recycle in a month?
4,
No,
16.
somewhere around there. I mean, it's
16.
actually, it's in,
It was
His
4 a
report.
week when we were doing it
I
weekly.
think.
What do you mean? I don't understand the question.
He's
4
gonna-
tons a
he's
week
gonna
of
do some
recycling.
math.
Oh, 4 tons, okay.
Tons. I didn't hear that
I
either.
heard times, sorry.
I did too. I heard tons.
A year ago, it was 4 tons a
It's
week,
about,
Lauren.
it's about 20,
About 20,
it's
right?
about 20 tons a week, a month.
20
Yeah.
tons a month.
A month.
That sounds high, but I know the last bill we paid to the recycling center was a little over $3,000. I just
So that would
did the
be it.
math, and
Right?
I think it'll be interesting to see at the end of the year, kind of how this year stacks up to previous years
Because
with
of
the
pandemic.
changes that we've made.
Right.
That should be
Oh, with the
interesting.
changes, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have a pretty good sample size at the end of this year. I
See where
think.
we're at.
What we really need is entrepreneurs to come up with things to make out of recycling material. Like I see benches, benches made out of, park benches, I'm talking, made out of old tires and soda bottles, This country, there's a lot of possibilities out there, but I'm not one of them to come up with the ideas.
I think we need to also make sure people know that they can get a second recycling can, because I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
We will advertise that. Put on the
We'll
website.
get that on the website and in the
Yes,
newsletter.
yes.
Jeff's gonna need another one, that'll be three.
Keeping up with,
If you go to once a month, I'm gonna need about 5.
keep up with the stones.
Yeah. He's a lot of trash.
Yes,
But only
thank
throw
you.
one bag of trash away.
Thank you, council.
Yeah.
I have very little, isn't that weird?
All right.
Because they're coming from the county.
Thanks for reminding me. That's right, we did.
We will
Thank you,
move
Robert.
on to resolutions.
Okay. Oh.
Resolution number 3405, if you would, Mr. West.
As soon as I can find it here.
Yeah, I
Turn
got
the
mine.
page.
Okay,
sir.
resolution number 3405, a resolution authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri to make application and sign all necessary documents in relation to the 2021 protection of soft targets / crowded spaces, PSTCP, grant and establish an effective date. I move for adoption of resolution 3405 at tonight's council meeting.
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this? Any questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. We'll move on to ordinances, first reads. If you would, Mr. Stone, bill number 1611.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Bill number 1611, an ordinance authorizing the mayor and city clerk on behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri to execute a contract with the assessor and commission of Callaway County, Missouri relating to the preparation of assessment lists and establishing an effective date. I move to move bill number 1611 to second reading at the next scheduled council meeting.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. This is something we do every year.
It's actually a 4-year contract. We do this every 4 years. There has not been a price increase from the assessor's office or the Callaway County Commissioners.
Forever.
In quite some time. So
Don't put that in the paper.
they're on board. They've actually already approved it on their end and signed it. And so they're just waiting on movement on our end.
Sorry.
All right. Any questions on this discussion? I will call for the question. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
And opposed, no. We'll move that on to second reading. We'll move on to second readings now. Councilman Simmons, if you would present bill number 1609.
Yes, sir. Bill number 1609, an ordinance repealing Chapter 30 cemeteries, Fulton City Code, enacting a new chapter in lieu thereof, and establishing an effective date. I make a motion that we advance bill number 1609 to third and then final reading at tonight's meeting.
Second?
Have a motion and a second to advance bill number 1609. Any discussion on this? We did talk about it last time. Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. If you would again, sir.
Bill number 1609, an ordinance repealing Chapter 30 cemeteries, Fulton City Code, enacting a new chapter in lieu thereof, and establishing an effective date. I make a motion we advance bill number 1609 to final reading tonight.
Second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
And opposed, no. All right, you've all heard the bill read 3 times. If you would, at this time, Madam Clerk, take final roll call for final vote.
All right, Mr. Combs?
Yes.
Ms. Nelson?
Yes.
Ms. Reclue?
Yes?
Mr. Simmons?
Yes.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Washington?
Yes.
Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Braun?
Yes.
8 council members affirmative.
All right, and we'll move on to bill number 1610, if you would, Councilwoman Reclue.
Yes, I'd like to do the third reading also.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. All right, Bill number 1610, an ordinance authorizing the mayor, on behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri, to execute all necessary documents in relation to the Missouri Highway and Transportation Commission Transportation Alternative Program agreements regarding federal project number TAP 270510 and establishing an effective date. I make a motion to place bill number 1610 for final reading at this council meeting.
Second.
Very good. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
And opposed, no. And if you would again, please.
Yes. Bill number 1610, an ordinance authorizing the mayor, on behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri, to execute all necessary documents in relation to the Missouri Highway and Transportation Commission Transportation Alternative Program agreements regarding federal project number TAP 270510 and establishing an effective date. I make a motion to place bill number 1610 for passage at this meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. All right, we've heard the bill read.
Oh, Steve,
Yeah.
Steve, what do you need?
Yeah.
Did you want to speak, Steve? Yeah.
I have an announcement. Our insurance carrier, Murma, once a year does a simulated, I guess you would call it a simulated pistol course. I think the mayor was out there last year, but it's going to be next Wednesday from 1 o'clock till 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock. If any of you'd like to come and see how we train, and as far as it's called a FAT system, but it's kind of interesting, and it's got different scenarios, and Patrick Bono runs it, and most of you know him, and I think the mayor enjoyed it last year.
Very cool. I would encourage all of you to
It's-
stop by
it's,
and spend about 30 minutes with that deal. That's pretty
Oh,
fun.
when
And
is
it's
it?
pretty realistic.
Yeah, it sort of
I
puts you
have
in
that
the...
information, so I will send that out to you guys tomorrow
Oh,
morning.
please do. I'd love it.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you.
Yes.
But I just wanted to invite all of you there if you want to come.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks.
All right. So yeah, that's a very cool opportunity for all of us. Encourage you to do that. All right, getting back to 1610, we're at our final roll call. Okay,
Yes,
if
we
you would.
are. All right, Ms. Nelson.
Yes.
Ms. Reclue.
Yes.
Mr. Simmons.
Yes.
Mr. Stone.
Yes.
Mr. Washington.
Yes.
Mr. West.
Yes.
Mr. Braun.
Yes.
And Mr. Combs.
Yes.
8 council members affirmative.
Thank you. All right, that is all except for our announcements. The next meeting will be held here Tuesday, May 11th. Work session will commence at 6:30 with our regular session at 7. And we will not...
Mr. Mayor, go ahead, and my apologies.
We won't be making that work session the big session about financing. So we do need a topic, right?
We do, and I'm sure we can schedule that for a different date. I do want to also let you guys know, and I may have sent this in an email, I may not have, but our following meeting, May 25th, we will be meeting a little early with the chamber that night, so I'll be getting some information out to you guys, but please go ahead and mark your calendars for that.
Very good. And in the meantime, if you come up with a topic for the work session or more topics than one is fine, let us know. We'll try to work those in throughout the year. We're always kind of, well, not always, but we sometimes struggle for a topic that people want to talk about, so.
Well, we could just pick a department and talk to them.
Yeah, we kind of done that in the past too, so we'd have nights where there's nothing to talk about, but if there's something in particular you want to talk about, please let me know.
Okay.
Other than that, did you have something to say? Yeah.
I just had an additional announcement for the group. On May 18th, the new ambulance building will be dedicated. That week is EMS week, so we'll be celebrating the ambulance district and all of our paramedics and EMTs. And in the afternoon, and I think it's at 1:30, but I'm not sure of the exact time, but we'll be dedicating that building. That building was completed and they moved into it in January. and we've chosen EMS Week to do the dedication ceremony.
Can you give me that date again?
May 18th?
And also,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I
Yes.
believe Clay mentioned of maybe a soft opening. Is that a possibility or maybe not? On,
Oh, for the rec center?
yes.
Yeah, I don't know if we could do that safely with the basketball goal like it is.
I'm just not comfortable saying it.
Uh-huh.
We can establish a date moving forward, and we'll definitely make sure you all know about that
Okay, yeah, that's
ahead of
what I
time.
know he said something about it for a main opening.
Yep, I know everybody's excited to see it. It's pretty impressive, so.
Is it something that we can go and see it?
Yeah, just call down, talk to myself or Bill, and we'll get you in there whenever you have time.
I'd just drop in and catch Kelly, I got you.
And Clay, while you're still here, is the legend, information, you already got a list of names? Are we still collecting or?
We're still taking names.
Okay, somebody asked me about that, so I just wanted to know. Thank you.
Yeah, there's a nomination form
It's too late.
online that you can go to, and it's a whole big form you gotta fill out, but yeah.
Thank you.
But yeah, for the council persons that are new, we should probably, I mean, we could set something
Yeah,
up a little too.
and if you can find a couple hours to give me a call and to make yourselves available, I'd love to take you around and show you the city facilities and kind of give you a tour. I put you in the truck and we go drive and we walk to the police stations and the fire stations, and we'll do a driving tour of the sewer plant unless you want to get out. But we'll hit the airport, and not too much to see at the landfill anymore, but
Yeah, we did it, he did it with me, and it helped me a lot to understand what things are at and kind of what's going on in each one. Good information.
Yeah, so we'll work on that, getting that scheduled. It's pretty,
Maybe we could all go see the new hangars at the airport.
I do not have a need tonight for executive session. I will entertain a motion.
that's what's in the bank.
Have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second, please?
Second?
Second, all right.